by speed dating senators and congressmen. We met 120 people there. I met personally 30 senators and congressmen throughout these 2 days. Actually, it's pretty cool because geothermal has bipartisan support, which is the fact that both Republicans and Democrats can support this. It's good for both of them if it solves, which is one of the cool things about it. And I mean, that's like a sweet spot. That's where everybody wants to be.
Do you remember the pitch?
I do.
Let's hear it and get some comments. Kristina, are you ready?
Always ready.
You have a new skill. You've been in Washington, D.C. meeting up with senators, congressmen, and one of my favorites, right? AOC.
Yeah, you were very jealous at the time. But that's correct. I've been in Washington and I acquired a lot of new skills, but I realized that there are some skills that I actually already had.
All right, but let's go back. Why were you in Washington?
So we were in Washington because we were supporting the association Geothermal Rising in US, and they want to advocate and make sure that geothermal is on the agenda for the congressmen and the senators out there, because we want to put it into law so that it's easier for geothermal to be a part of the transition.
But so what you're saying is that geothermal is not on the agenda today, or?
Definitely not. It's like far, far down, unfortunately. It's like how everything is in the world. It's like sun, wind, and then you forget all the other things that are actually a great part of the puzzle.
All right. But walk me through it. So you, who organized this day? Was it you, or was it this organization, or what?
I wish
did you do?
it was me. No, it was not me who organized this. So Baseload Capital is a part of an association called Geothermal Rising. And Geothermal Rising is an association that is taking care of all the companies in the industry of geothermal. And they are trying to set the presence for geothermal. And one of those things that they are doing is, of course, doing advocacy at the Washington Hill, or Capitol Hill, as it is called. So this was organized by them, and from different places from US, people flew in, and we were meeting different congressmen and senators. So everything was arranged. We came together the first day. We met together with all the other people who were there, people of expertise in policy and advocacy, and we gathered together with Geothermal Rising.
What was your mission with these meetings?
Well, my mission was pretty clear. My mission was to help the association to get the attention they needed, but also from Baseload Capital and their side, we have a couple of projects that are not moving forward because of permitting processes. And one of the permitting processes that they call internally in US, they call the CATEX, categorical exclusion, is what the oil and gas industry already have and what the geothermal industry wants. So I was there on behalf of Baseload Capital to advocate so that geothermal gets the same advantages as the oil and gas industry does, if I simplify it very much.
All right, but we'll get to that also, but just, it's pretty cool going into the Capitolium and their offices. What was the feeling when you got into the building? Because it's a historical place, you have all of the political power in the US sitting there, so, describe the feeling.
First of all, it's super cool because you get like this agenda and you get the talking points and you're prepared. So you know what bills and what laws you want to like advocate. And you agree with all the other ones what you do. And then when they actually said, okay, let's go, everybody's like flying into taxis and going towards the Capitol, and my heart started pounding. I was like, what am I going to say? Who am I going to meet? It was really like that feeling. And when you enter, you get like this map and you get a number and a house. And you're so disoriented. You don't know where it is. Because what you see on TV is this big, huge building, right? It's like on every TV series. But what you don't know is that surrounding this, there's like tons of buildings that are connected to this, that you actually have to find your way. So if you get like, okay, Congressman X and X, then you need to find the house, you need to find the floor, you need to find the room, and then you need to be there on time. And I still remember like running into this like huge, beautiful big building, one of the houses. It was white, it was marmor, it was like gorgeous, and I was sweating. I was so warm because it was a warm day and you had been running trying to find this house, and then you're like, where is this floor? And then you're running down the hallways and people are running next to you, and you're like entering into the room and it's like, okay, I'm on time. And then you're like trying to put yourself together and like, okay, I'm here now. Okay, refocus.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You need to be on point. You need to know what you're going to say.
So who was the first one you met?
So I met Congresswoman Anna Esho in the Cannon House, but I actually didn't meet her. I met one of her staffers, and I entered the room. I remember I told you I was sweaty. I was like putting myself together, super prepared. I had everything in my hands. My industry colleagues joined me. We were standing there really tied up, and we go in and we announced that we have the meeting. And we're waiting for a while, and after a while there comes one assistant who says, we don't have meeting rooms for you here today, so you have to do it in the hallway. And I was like, what? so this person comes out, and he's of course responsible for these kind of bills, but he takes us outside in the hallways. He's really tired, and we're standing like 5 or 6 around, and then he says, okay, what's on your mind? and we're there in the hallway, and we're like, okay, well...
So you had to pitch in the hallway.
We had to pitch in the hallway. We're like, okay, we're from the Geothermal Association, we are representing this and this companies, and then, you know, trying to tell a story which he will remember.
And how long time did you have?
5 minutes.
All right.
We had like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So this is really pitch meetings.
This is really pitch meetings.
Yeah.
And actually they told us before, they're like, don't wear high heels. You need to have like shoes on. You can switch when you come there, but you need to be able to go between meetings, and you have short time. So you really need to know your lines, which is one of my realizations is that advocacy is pitching, and pitching is sales. And you need to be good at presenting. So that was like my big takeaway.
But you were with people from the whole association. Did you practice before on the pitch, or who was going to run it in each of the meetings, or what was the preparation?
Yeah, we had, so before we were sent there, we had this meeting where we went through the talking points. So everybody knew them by heart. It had been sent out. Everybody was supposed to read them and make sure they understand them. You knew what bills we were going to have, and then you also knew exactly who you were going to meet. So you could read up on like who the person is and what they've done, what they're supporting and so on. So very detailed preparations. And then we had one person who was leading the meeting, and we had designated roles. So I knew what topics I was supposed to speak about. So I had 2 things there. We were, of course, giving out the book, Our Hidden Powers, to all the senators, but I was also speaking of the case we have in WIPA, the one I was mentioning before, where I was telling how we came about the area, what happened, and what the challenges were, and what I wanted them to do in order to change this.
Do you remember the pitch?
I do.
Let's hear it and get some comments.
So, there is an answer to the puzzle, but we are buried underneath tons and tons of papers. It is all about administration, and the permitting process is taking too long. We already had an opportunity to actually do a well. We already have all the things we need to do, but because of permitting, it's going to take us another 12 to 18 months in order for us to be able to unbury this treasure we have underneath that is going to give California the answer and more renewable gigawatts.
So there you have it.
Something like that.
That's awesome.
And then I went into the details about like what do oil and gas have, what do we need to have in comparison, and so on. So basically catching their interest
And then you had time for 1 or 2 follow-up questions.
Exactly, yeah. So you really have short amount of time.
All right, so if I sum up, you need to be really prepared. You have to have the message. You only have a short period of time where you can actually, send out or give the pitch to the congressman or to the senator. And what do you do then? How do you follow up on this? How do you actually, get it put into law, or get it to put into a policy that will actually change things? Because this, it sounds like a 5-minute meeting. You come there, you have the pitch, and then they have 200 other 5-minute meetings that day. How will they remember, or how will they take that and actually make it happen, put it into law?
Well, going back to sales again, you really have to be good at it. So you need to leave something behind. So we left our talking points. We made sure to leave a book so that they remember us by something else as well. And then afterwards, it's very much with the association. They follow up immediately. They are there to testify if it's needed. You support them with facts. You answer quickly on their next. And basically what you also try to do when you're there is to try to find the next step. So would they like to have more information? Would they like to have a meeting about that? Would they like to have information sent to them? So basically you are continuing to take care of the relationship and give them what they need. So, I mean, as you said, they have a lot of ideas coming from different sides, and they are also people. You have to remember that they are people with different interests. So, depending on what they know, they will move forward with that, because I mean, all of them have a genuine interest of doing the right thing, right? But they have different perspective of what the right thing is. So for us, it's about showing them that this is actually something that can be a piece of the puzzle they need.
And what was the interest? You met like 30 different people, both for congressmen, senators, staffers, from different parts of the aisle, right? And what was the feeling?
Well, let me start by saying like this. I was telling you about this 5-minute meeting, but we also had meetings that went far over time with senators that came into the room, that were sitting and discussing with us, that knew exactly what bills were on the table, that had a personal interest from their state. For example, Nevada, California had a huge interest in this because it's very close to
what they do.
Yeah. And then sometimes it was also a lot of staffers, so there could be like 6 up to 10 people in the room, except for us who were there. So it was really like different from place to place. Now I forgot your question. Your question was
no, but how well were you received? Was it a difference between the different political parties? How did they take this seriously, or
No, I definitely think they took it seriously. As I said, it's a bit of an interest from their side as well. So depending on if it's possible in their state or not, you're going to get more or less attention. But it was pretty cool because, I mean, if I just talk about geothermal now, geothermal has bipartisan support. So you can get support both from Republicans and Democrats, and that's actually not very usual because it's something that suits them both. So it was even Steven when it came to that part. So both of them were supportive. I would say that, as I said, that depending on what their needs are in the state, that's how much interest you have.
Understood.
And also how much contact you've had with them before. So...
All right, very good. Let's move on to the people. All right, so let's focus on the people. Who were the 2 most interesting meetings that you had?
So Catherine Cortez Masto is one of my absolute favorites, not only because her renewable agenda, but also because what she's been doing for geothermal. But we entered there and she was so welcoming. first her staff came, and then she came in, and she was so open, and we sat down and we discussed, and she was really caring also about the other people in the room. So she had met, for example, some of my colleagues, and she remembered them. So you could actually see that she is like a loving, caring person. So you kind of like fall in love with her as a person, but also then knowing that she's really working hard for the renewable transition, which is super cool. And the other one is Ross Fulcher, which is also a super interesting guy, and I still remember because he was the one who greeted us with his like training clothes, because he was basically on the way out, and we came over with because he's been a geothermal champion, so we came over with the prize and a book, and he was like, yeah, sure, I want to meet you guys, and then he like welcomed us into the room, and we were sitting there and chit-chatting, and he was like, really, he was going to go on the airplane, so he was dressed really comfortable and like really relaxed, and he reminded me that people are just people. And I think that those were the two like that really like that I recall the meetings with, because they were so down to earth, and I like seeing people in power that are down to earth. It makes me calm and it gives me hope. Definitely.
Very nice. So how many meetings did you have during this day?
It was 2 days, and I think that the association in all had 120 meetings, and I went to 30 meetings these days. So we were running between the different rooms and the Congress and the House, of course. And you know what we did? We went on a train.
What?
So underneath Capitolium, there is a train.
You're kidding.
That takes you
well,
from...
like one of these small airport trains or...
No, like a real train, like like a subway that you're like going underneath. So if you want to go from one side to the other one, it's pretty far. And I think that I got in like, it was at like 20,000 steps per day. But I mean, we were pretty tired, and at this time that we were supposed to go from one part of the Capitolium to the other one, and this guy asked like, "Are you tired? Would you like to take the train?" And I was like, "Train? Where? I hadn't seen a train." But then we actually went under the house. We went down a couple of floors. We walked afar, and then we came to this little like train station.
No way.
So it came a train, and you jumped into it, and you were like moving into the other side of the house. It was super cool.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
So train underneath the Capitol.
Yeah, I can recommend it. I don't know how
but
I ended up there.
But it's open for the public? No.
No. I think that I'm not sure if... I'm good that I didn't mention the guy's name, because I'm not sure. No, we were having badges, so we could go. But I think it's for the people of the Senate and the Congress, of course, when they're traveling between.
Let's move on to the mistakes. You had 120 meetings. Who screwed up?
Well,
it always happens, right? We have all of these meetings we go to, and you always have something that will happen, something that will become a blooper in the future.
Yes, and disclaimer, I cannot say the names, I cannot say anything, but let's say like this. It's pretty important to know who you are meeting, and if they agree with certain things or not. Because if you are
like
a politician,
like
for example, if you believe in the right to make a decision for a woman regarding abortion, or what you think about the LGBT rights and so on, you need to know this, and you should make sure that you are neutral. And sometimes there are things you don't think about. It could be a pin or something like that that is actually showing what you think. And if you're having that on, entering the wrong meeting, that could
start the conversation in the wrong...
or
lead
way.
It into the wrong direction.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, also, they have their own, they have their agenda, right? So one of the mistakes that can be done is if you are insisting too much on your own agenda. You really need to be subtle in where you're going. I remember one meeting we were entering, and this senator came into the room, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late, but we've been voting on this issue that is not, it's stupid, we're putting time on it. Without saying what the issue actually was, I didn't agree in what he was saying. And then you actually need to put yourself in, okay, so why am I here right now? What is the cause that I'm here? Do I want to go into a discussion about this, or do I want to help my actual cause? So I think it's super easy to make mistakes if you become too personal, because you are there with an agenda, right? And you're representing. So you need to stick to
that one, basically.
And often, I mean, you're representing something else. You're representing your company in this case, and you're representing an association. So your opinion matter less in this case. You're here to do a job.
So if you would summarize then your 3 key takeaways from these 2 days at the Capitol in Washington, what would they be? So
first, it is hard work. It's a lot of preparation before. It's getting to know your materials. So that part of remembering, like really learning that. And also the actual knocking on the door, walking. And I think that many people consider it being like more into like fancy and glamour. You're walking the hallways, but actually what you're doing is that you're running between doors. And you're getting really sweaty, and you are like getting 5 minutes. As I said, you can get it in the hallway. So first key takeaway is like, it's hard job. A lot of preparation, a lot of work when you're there, and of course the follow-up afterwards, not to be downplayed. It's massive. That's where actually the job happens. So that's the first thing. The second thing is definitely you need to know how to pitch. You need to know how to tell a story so it captivates the person you have in front of you. Because imagine that they have, like, as you said earlier, they had like 10, 15 pitches. How will you make sure that you're stand out? So here I believe that it's really about storytelling, about telling something that they will remember, that will stick to their senses, and that they can also refer to. So it needs to be easy, simplified, right? And the last thing is the power of presenting. You really need to believe in yourself when you're standing there. You can't go in and like be feeling that you are under hierarchy or something like that. You have to have the confidence, because the question can be like this. I remember one meeting where I was sitting in other thoughts, and I got turned to and said, like, Kristina, could you please explain what geothermal is in a couple of sentences? You need to be alert and ready. And to do that, you need to have presentation skills in your core. So you can't start thinking about how should I present this. You need to know your facts and to be able to present it right there and then.
So all of us who thinks that the people working with lobbying is having a fancy job, going around drinking coffee, speaking with the high level politicians, would you say that we have a wrong
perception?
That we have a wrong perception?
Absolutely. It's very similar to sales. You're going to get a lot of closed doors. AOC had a closed door.
Yes, let's move into AOC. What happened? Because you were scheduled to meet with her.
We were scheduled to meet with her. And we were super excited. And you were very jealous.
I was probably the most excited one.
Yeah.
In the whole.
And then we came there and the doors were closed because at the time there was a lot of things going on with Israel. And she has been very vocal about it. So I believe that this is just me guessing, but she has been under a lot of pressure. So they had to basically close off. So it's a closed door. So basically they opened it and we got to give her the book. Our hidden powers, say thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing for geothermal, and then we were out. So, I mean, there was a closed door, but there are also doors that are not. They opened it a little bit, but there are also doors that say no, not interested.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much like sales. You get a lot of no's, and you need to be ready to take them in order to be good at it.
Yeah, and you know what they say: one no
is a closer yes.
Yes,
closer to the yes, definitely. And I think that's very similar to policy work and advocacy. Notice that I don't say lobbying.
Yes.
You know what I learned?
Tell me.
Lobbying is dirty. Lobbying is not okay. It's what we want to do is advocacy.
All right.
And we don't want to be connected to lobbying because it has a bad reputation.
Okay.
But if you do advocacy, you are talking about what good it can come from. So that's a little thing that I learned these days as well.
Oh, very good. So, advocacy work.
Yes, from now on you only do advocacy work. No lobbying.
Much harder to say.
It's a difficult word to say, definitely.
All right.
So now you've been like shooting questions at me, and I hope you learned something. But
I learned a lot, for sure.
I'm curious, what did you actually learn?
Well, I learned that it's called advocacy. I will practice how to say it properly, but I also learned that advocacy, it takes a lot of work. You have to plan it, you have to execute it, you need to follow it up, and you need to be persistent. And I also learned that, walking the halls of the Capitolium is maybe not the glamorous view or the glamorous job that everyone thinks it is, which I think is interesting. So I think it's super interesting. Next year I want to come with you, and I want to be there and pitch as well. And
okay, deal.
Then I want to meet AOC. Can you fix that?
Okay, I will do my absolute best, and if we do it, we will get back to this show again and talk about it, right?
Definitely.
Definitely. I hope you also learned something today about advocacy and the hard work that is behind it. If you thought that this episode was a good one, that you had fun, listened and learned a lot of things, then make sure to share it to someone that you care about, and subscribe to the channel, and make sure to talk about it with friends and family, because we do this because we want to make sure that we are helping out to do the transition to make the world a better place by doing the switch into a greener economy. Hope we see you again soon. Take care, and if you can...
Emil.
Someone else.
Oh my God. If you can, someone else. Take care, guys.